This is so exciting. The November edition of our Fruition Local Food Showcase is about to begin, so stay tuned. Hello, everybody, and welcome. We are so glad that you've joined us. This is the November edition of our Fruition Local Food Showcase, and we really like these and have a lot of fun with them here at the Ag and Food Systems Department at Cornell Cooperative Extension. So this is our 7th program. We've done it for 7 months, and one thing that every program has in common is we bring in unique but local guests that care deeply about our local food system and are working hard to make a difference as being part of it. So we've got 3 unique conversations tonight, so I hope you'll stick around. Some interesting conversations and also some prize giveaways after each interview. So it's an excellent lineup. We've got 3 great guests, as I've mentioned, and they'll all share a bit about their business or the projects that they're involved in. So if you haven't seen a showcase before, we feature each guest for 15 minutes at a time and dig in about their business or project. So before we get started, there's a couple things I'd like to share. There's an interesting, the craft food and wine, if you haven't heard about it. The holiday market is happening this weekend, sponsored by the St. Lawrence County Chamber, and we'll have lots of local makers there. Present at that. And then also here in the Ag and Food Systems Department later, the beginning of December, we have a great program coming up that will be led by our local food marketing and development educator. She'll be bringing on 3 panelists to share about how their food businesses deal with social media. So that's intended for farmers and food producers to help them get a handle on being online. So back to the showcase. If you're anything like me these days, you've added an extra blanket onto your bed and you're waking up each morning feeling a little chilly and there's frost on the ground. But there is good news. We still actually have lots of local food that's available here in the North Country. So whether you're finding it at Nature's Storehouse, our first guest, or a farm stand, or maybe in your own root cellar, there's lots of tasty goodies. I have a soft spot for vegetables because that's what we grow. So our root cellar right now is stocked with a rainbow of veggies, from carrots and beets to onions and winter squashes and cabbages. So all these things are available and a lot more, including meats in the freezers and natural sweeteners like honeys and sugar maple syrup that our producers are so great at making here in Northern New York. So I encourage you all to seek those out wherever you might find them, because there's lots of good food to enjoy throughout the rest of our year as it gets chilly. So it's actually my favorite time of year to do some cooking, just because in the summertime you want to be outside all the time and there's lots of fun to be had and work outdoors. But now there's a little time to cozy up and in the evening get creative in the kitchen. So let's get the lay of the land for our program. So as I mentioned, first up, we have Rainbow Crabtree of Nature's Storehouse here in Canton. Then you'll hear from beef farmer Susanne Saunders of the Kilian Biohof, who raises beef organically, is located in Gouverneur. And we're trying something new for our 3rd segment. So I'll be speaking, I'm involved with the program, but it's much, much bigger than here at the Harvest Kitchen. Myself and Dave Gravlin, food service manager at St. Lawrence Lewis Bosse's, and Lee Vandewater of Big Spoon Kitchen. We'll talk about the Fresh Cut program, the farm to school program that we've been involved with for several years. But before I launch into those conversations, I actually don't want to forget about the prizes, because there's great ones. And so I better get Lauren in here so we can learn more about them. Hey there, Lauren.
Hi, Flip. I'm happy to be joining in tonight. You mentioned there are deep fall or dark fall days here, but I'm sure this evening's live stream will not only warm viewers' hearts, but also their bellies.
So what have we got? What are the prizes for tonight's program?
We have a couple prizes here. First off, we'll be giving away a $25 gift certificate to Nature Storehouse. They have lots of goodies there, local snacks, you name it, they probably have it. Then we're going to be giving away a $25 gift certificate to the Kilian Biohof, so you can pick out one of their beef products. And then we will have a $25 gift certificate to Big Spoon Kitchen, where you can pick out a nice meal to go.
Great. So as I understand it, it's free for people to entry. How do they actually sign up for a chance to win?
Yep, it's all free. So to enter for a chance to win some of these prizes tonight, you can click the link below in the comments. And by clicking that link and filling out the prize form, you'll be signed up not only for prizes, but also for the Fruition Local Foods blog that we manage here at CCE. But you'll also be entered for a chance to win. And if you've already filled out the form from a previous showcase, all you have to do is check the appropriate box. So everyone tonight watching has a chance to win a prize.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll see you folks sign up now, and then I'll see you after that first conversation.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Lauren. So like Lauren said, sign up now and you have a chance. We'll do our first giveaway after our next conversation. So as a kid, I actually remember digging into my Christmas stocking and getting special treats that were sourced from Nature's Storehouse. And it's been a few years since then, but these days I go there. It's one of my favorite spots to go when I'm planning a preservation project because they've got such an awesome selection of bulk herbs and spices. So they were started in 1972, and they've been a fixture of Main Street in Canton for nearly 50 years. They've got an extensive array of natural foods and supplements, and for nearly 20 of those years, the Crabtree family has been running this downtown Canton location. So I'd love to welcome Rainbow Crabtree here so that we can learn more about Nature's and what they're up to. Hey there, Rainbow.
Hey, Flip, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Excellent, thanks.
Yeah, we'd love to hear more. Tell us about Nature's Storehouse.
Okay, well, here I am at Nature Storehouse. As you mentioned, we're located on Main Street in Canton, 21 Main. We've been here for years and years, and we're a natural food store. We are pretty proud of the fact that we have, in a small space, a big store. So there's a produce department, there's health and body, there's grocery, there's frozen and refrigerated. And we're pretty proud of being able to have a little bit of everything here in the small town in the North Country.
Yeah, you definitely pack a lot in that building, which I could be wrong in saying this, but I think of it as a historic building, but you really kept the charm of that location while also filling it with lots of new and tasty food items.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been really committed to keeping the feel of the store, avoided putting our shelving up really tall and high because just feels really good to walk in and be able to kind of get a sense of the full space. We've felt really committed to keeping the building looking that way.
Yeah, so you've told us a bit about the store. Would you want to highlight some of the unique parts of the business or things you're especially fond of?
Absolutely. So one of the things, and I think this goes along with, what Cooperative Extension really likes to highlight is our local produce, which you can kind of see right behind me here. We're really proud of the fact that we can pack this cooler with mostly local product for a really good portion of the year. And of course, we're not going to get grapes. Well, we did have Concord grapes for a while there. But, right now we have some things from far away. But the season just every year seems to get a little bit longer for local produce. And so, yeah, there you go. There's a beautiful picture of it. So we work with a number of local farmers and bringing produce in 2 or 3 times a week still, even here as we head towards Thanksgiving. Also really proud of our local meat section. I think sometimes people think, oh, health food store, everything's vegetarian, but we feel it's really important to have a lot of locally raised, thoughtfully raised meat here as well, so that people can access good, clean food. And same thing with the dairy. A lot of local cheese, goat cheese, cow cheese. I would say those are the things that we feel most dedicated to in terms of the food that we have here.
Yeah, so actually it's cool to note so Rainbow's sharing about their wide selection there and mentioned meats, and actually our next guest, you have their meat, the Kilian Biohof's meat stocked in your freezer.
At times we do, yeah. That sort of ebbs and flows as to who is represented in the freezer. But yeah, there are definitely times where we do have their product.
Yeah, would you like to share more? So I mentioned that it's been nearly 50 years that folks might have been hearing the name Nature Storehouse around the North Country. How has the business changed in your years in operation?
Well, in lots of ways, it's stayed the same because, as I said, we're really committed to sort of keeping that small store feel, serving each customer as an individual, and really listening to what people want. So when we bring in new products, it's really largely because somebody asks us for it. But I'm always amazed, I guess, then when people come in and they say, "Oh my God, I can't believe you've got so many more things," and it's really exciting for us to hear that when people walk through the door, it feels to them like it's expanding and growing, and like there's always something new and interesting for them to notice when they come in. So yeah, I would say, again, it's like started out when we first bought this store, when my husband and I first bought the store in 2001, there was a little cart of produce up in the front, and at the end of the day, you'd put that produce back in the walk-in, and it was like this old antique wooden cart. And now we have a whole produce cooler full of produce. And at some point, that produce cooler behind me just actually was too small as well. And so then we sort of expanded into this other refrigerator that we have adjacent to the produce cooler. And so in that way, things have just sort of slowly evolved. I mean, as more produce was offered to us, as people asked for more variety, we just sort of slowly expanded. And I think that's happened throughout the store in every department.
I really commend you for talking about sourcing in the store. Like you have mentioned the case, and I love knowing that you are marking things, whether they're not just that they're local, but what farms that they're coming from. I really appreciate that. And I think it takes the extra effort for a small business owner to do that, but it really makes a difference when we're saying, hey, people care about buying locally. Well, what does that actually mean? And the label needs to get all the way to the store shelf if it's a third-party seller. So I really appreciate that you all have consistently taken the effort to call out the producers that you're sourcing.
Yeah, we think it's really important and I think too, certain people have an affinity. Like certain people are like, I love my bird's foot mixed greens, and other people are like, ooh, Kent's carrots are my favorite, or I just love the way Martin's does their delicata squash or whatever. And so and different growers grow differently, and I think that's important for people to know too. So that sort of full disclosure as to how something is grown. Everything that we have in our produce cooler is grown is grown using organic practices, whether or not it's certified organic. But we do like to differentiate in there as well with our different colored produce cards, how, if it's local and organic or local and earth friendly.
So I think we're kind of modest when I asked that question about what has changed over the years, because I think that I do see things happening, that you've done a good job of like the consistency and the stability, but there are things like putting in the case for the deli items and then adding quarts of soup, and to have a place where you can just pop in and grab the healthy takeout is something I hope folks realize that that's happening, and that now you have that option of the hot soups, but also those quarts and little things like that, and the expanded deli items.
Thanks for pointing that out, Flip. Yeah, it's, again, when we bought the store, it was like muffins and soup, and there was one option every day of those things, and slowly over the years, now we have 2, sometimes 3 cooks in our kitchen, and a deli cooler full of vegetarian salads and sandwiches and chocolate avocado pudding, all kinds of really fun stuff. And most days we have 3 soup options as well available, as well as St. Lawrence Valley Roasters locally roasted coffee, and hot tea. So it's true. That's really expanded over the years, and it's been really, really exciting. It brings in a really great crowd of people in the middle of the day. It makes it really lively and fun. Just increases the flow of traffic through the store, and we just love that. It feels very, very. I think I used the word lively already, but just a lot of energy, and that it just feels like a fun place to be because there's just community flowing through here.
Yeah, definitely. Well, actually, last week I came in to do something completely different, and then I was like, "Oh, I have 100 pounds of carrots in my trunk. I'll just ask Rainbow if she's interested."
And now they're back there in the produce cooler.
Yes. So that probably is a testament. Maybe I guess I was hoping that you'd share a bit, like if it seems like in every nook of the store there are different things that you could find from local produce farmers, but also artisans and things like that. So how does that actually happen, that process of sourcing from various producers? What's that process like?
Well, sometimes somebody comes in, a customer might come in and say, "Hey, I saw this, these candles somewhere. Can you get those?" And then I'll reach out to the supplier and see if they want to supply us with that product. And I try to be careful about that. If Tawny is carrying that up the street, I'm going to be less likely and say, "Hey, they have it up there," so we don't want to overlap too much. But if a producer comes in and says, "Oh, I'm making this local soap and I have a space for it or something unique and interesting," we'll give it a try. So yeah, either a supplier stopping in and approaching us, or a customer asking for something and us sort of seeking it out. Because if we can get it locally, we will always try to get it locally first.
Yeah, I do certainly appreciate that, knowing that you have been so consistent about working to do that sourcing and make those connections, because it does take effort on the part of a business owner too. So the farmers obviously want to sell their stuff, but having those storefront locations, it takes effort on both their parts to kind of keep that relationship going and make it work.
Yeah, I've been really grateful for the increased effort for delivery in the area. It wasn't, too many years ago when producers were growing food, but they didn't have a way to get it to us. So I think, North Country Growing Cooperative has done a really fantastic job of trying to deliver from a good group of local producers, and not just there we go, there's Martin's, yep. Not just produce, but also they've added some other non-produce items as well. So seeing the farmers and the local community kind of meet us part way in that regard, because it does take effort to get all those products into the store and get them bagged up or set for display, and to have to go out and pick it up as well at all the different farms would probably be too much. So it's been a real collaborative effort.
Well, yes, transportation, that's a big one. We'll actually talk about that. Well, maybe Susanne will mention it in the next conversation, but when we're talking about farm to school, that's also, this network of it. There's so many more steps beyond just the growing and the production, and getting it out and having that consistent supply does take a mighty effort on many people's parts, I would say.
Yeah. And I think too, cold storage and having greenhouses are two things that local farmers have done more and more of recently. That's really extended the season, so that we still have local greens, and we've had hard frost out there, so that's fantastic. And we'll have root veggies probably all the way through till next spring. So we're appreciative of the efforts that have come also from the farmers.
I've gotten really into making fritters in the winter, which just involves grating a lot of different root vegetables and then putting some coating and then frying them, basically, which sounds unhealthy, but it's full of a lot of veggies. So I tell myself it's healthy, but I've come to nature's, I think in March or April, when we'd run out of parsnips, but it adds like a cool little tang, and grabbed a couple parsnips there, even though it'd been months since they'd been harvested, and someone stored them somewhere, and then they got to your shelves, which was excellent.
Excellent, yeah.
So I think it's probably on everybody's mind, Rainbow. They may have heard. Could you share more? I hear that Nature's Storehouse is actually for sale now.
It's true. We are not closing, though. Okay, I want everybody to know that we are solidly still here. We are not going anywhere. But yeah, we've been doing this for 19 years, and longer for me because I did work for my predecessor for 3 years. So yeah, just we're ready to make a change in our lives. We're not moving away. We plan to stay here in the area. We love it here, and we'd like a nature storehouse to continue shopping at. So yeah, we're looking for somebody who's interested in carrying on and taking the next steps, and really actually feeling really excited for somebody to come in with some new energy and new ideas and see what evolves under the next person's care and stewardship.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing about that. It sounds like folks would reach out to you directly if they're interested. I saw the posting online and they'd reach out to you if they want to learn more.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I think we just got a minute left. If there's anything I've forgotten to ask about or anything that you want to share about the store, its role in the community, we'd love to hear.
Oh, gosh, I think just maybe gratitude for like the circular nature of community, and how just feeling really grateful for all the folks who flow through here and shop on a regular basis to buy their groceries and their supplements here, and and then we in turn can buy produce and goods made locally and elsewhere, and just a lot of good energy flowing through the store. Love seeing all the faces come through here over and over again, and building relationships with people. Some people have said like, well, where will I see you when you're not here, like someday? And I'm like, well, probably the library. I don't, I'll see you around. We're walking on Partridge, So yeah.
Go to the Norwood Village Green concert series. I see Rainbow. That's where I see it. If I don't see it in the store, that's a good place to go.
Thank you, Flip.
Yeah. Well, we've loved having you on, Rainbow. We've really appreciated the relationship. I just popped into my head right now when we're talking about relationships and kind of that ongoing kind of morphing of the way things go. Rainbow and Nature Storehouse has generously supported our Harvest Kitchen series, our Celebrating Local Food series, and preservation classes by donating ingredients for our hands-on workshops and things like that. So,
can I say one more thing?
You can say one more thing. Go ahead.
Today, our garden share fundraiser, we hit $1,000 today. So talk about gratitude to the community for supporting that fundraiser, $1 at a time at the register. So really excited about that.
That is very cool. Yeah, congratulations. That's awesome. And yeah, if folks haven't heard of Garden Share, they are a cornerstone of finding farms and farm stands and retailers and outlets through their local food guide that they produce, print version every year, but also online. Well, excellent. Thank you so much for coming on, Rainbow. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. Nice to see you. Bye, everybody.
Take care. So I think that it is actually the first prize time, so we better get Lauren in here so we can figure out who the winner is. Hey, Lauren. Hey, how are you doing?
Good. Ready to pick a winner here? Spin the wheel?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right, let's see. It's a very colorful wheel. And Campus? Combees, congratulations. You got a $25 gift certificate to Nature Storehouse.
Excellent. Remind us what the next gift is, Lauren, before we launch into our next interview.
We have a $25 gift certificate to the Kilian Biohof, so you can pick out one of their beef products that she has.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'll see you in a few minutes then.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, congratulations, Combees. Now for our next guest. So I think probably people know this if you're in St. Lawrence County tuning in, but we're a sprawling acreage, miles and miles from the vast St. Lawrence Seaway all the way into the foothills of the Adirondacks. So it's pretty hard unless you're working diligently to kind of get into all the nooks and crannies in the back roads. But there's some really, really beautiful, incredible areas that we have to offer. And one of these kind of neighborhoods is on the north side of Gouverneur, actually. So right around where Susanne Saunders' farm is, in the Cream of the Valley Road and Rock Island, and right where she's at on the Stevens Road. It's just a really picturesque part of the county. I grew up not far from there on the Maple Ridge Road. And so I really enjoyed kind of walking and then biking and then exploring beyond into that area and the vast ag land in that region. So I would like to welcome Susanne Saunders of the Kilian Biohof so we can learn more about her beef farm.
Hi, Flip.
Hello, hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Well, in case people have or haven't heard of you out in the northern reaches of Gouverneur, tell us more about the Kilian Biohof.
Okay, yeah, we came there about 10 years ago. My husband and I moved from Germany, and we found this place. It used to be a dairy farm prior to us, and we fell in love with it, and yeah, it became what it is right now.
Yeah. So before we talk about the products, I guess, or what you raise or tend, tell us about your farm name.
Okay, the farm name. Okay, so Kilian, that is my maiden name, and Biohof or the Biohof is actually the German word for an organic small farm. So bio is the name or is the equivalent to organic. And Hof means a small farm. So that's why this fits. Yes.
Well, so that's basically, we probably didn't know that. We have lots of things like whether it's Jabarton Acres or whatever it is, there's lots of farms here where in the equivalent, it would essentially be the German version of what we commonly do here, which is like family name, farm.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. That's exactly what this is. Yeah.
So tell us more. You had mentioned the organic practices. Tell us more about the livestock.
Yeah. So we do have Cross Angus, Black Cross Angus. We have 22 cows, and it's mother calf cow production. So we're having the cows and getting them artificially inseminated and breed for steers like these little guys to sell them get them ready, butcher ready for the market. That's what we do. And with the certified organic practices, yes.
Yeah. So what was your original inspiration for starting the farm?
Well, living in Germany, everything is packed and small. And so we wanted it to come here to the US where you can have a little bit more land. And so we ended up on this farm, and we wanted it to be healthy and having good practices, respect the land and the animals, and know where the food comes from, and also provide food that is good and healthy, clean food to the community. And yes.
Yeah. So is there other things that you'd like to tell us in terms of like what would you find? So the organic practices, it seems like that's the cornerstone. Are there other unique things about the business you'd like to share?
Yes. I mean, for me, being organic is important. I mean, it's something that I can show my product and be proud of, and also say it's certified and we're following those practices. And we are a small farm, so it takes a little, but I think it's also important. And since and people can trust it because it's certified, and yeah, that's where I was coming from. And we are, as far as I know, one of the only beef farms up here in northern New York that grows certified organic beef.
Yeah, that's a good point. To my knowledge, definitely. which is not a be all end all, but that's as far as I know in this region. Yes. Yeah, it is. They are definitely beautiful animals. I did want to mention in the background, because we have the solar panels, if you want to talk more about energy on your farm.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, we went into the solar business. We just got a small array that covers our farm, but it covers our energy, and we feed whatever much we produce more, we're going to feed into the system. But we do produce our own electricity. At this point, we don't have batteries yet, but it does go into the system, and yeah, it works very well for us, and we're very happy we did that step.
So we haven't talked yet about some of the other notable characters on your farm. I remember some other, your daughter and Cedric, which you seem to be very fond of. Can you tell us more about the rest of the living crew on the Kilian Biohof?
Okay, so first of all, I probably have to mention my daughter first.
Fine. If she's watching, then I guess you have to.
Yeah, she's 8 years old, and she's a character. You've seen some of the pictures. And yeah, life's not boring with a little one. And, but she loves to be on the farm. She loves to get dirty, and she goes anywhere and has to go anywhere where I go, and she'll work with me her way, let's put it that way. But and that's also a reason why we ended up on a farm, just to give that lifestyle to our family. So she's our only two-legged one that we have. And then here we go. And then another important individual in our lives is Senny. It's Senrik. He is a 4-year-old German Shepherd. Yep, he is something else. He goes where we go. He's special. he just brings smiles to our hearts. And in our free time, we will go on sometimes on mud runs, and for a good cause, we'll run for a couple of miles with him, Mina and I, and we'll just having fun. So that's what we like to do.
Well, it's good to keep. I do remember, growing up in a rural area on a back road, and it's good to have some interesting characters around, because there's a lot of time you're spending entertaining yourselves, and that's important to love the ones you're with, definitely.
Exactly. And then, being a lot of times, out there in the fields, it's nice to have, like an animal with you, like Senny, my protector. He's right there. Yeah. So
we have talked about the beef a bit, and we've talked about kind of you raising the animals. Do you want to talk? Are you interested in talking about processing or cuts, or where folks can find and how to purchase your meat?
Okay, yeah, I can do that. So we do sell wholesale for one, but also we do sell a freezer beef. People can contact us and can either get a whole cow, half a cow, or a quarter of a cow of a certified organic cow. And but we also do offer USDA inspected meat cuts. Those I have to, like those ones, ground beef, steaks, different cuts. I do actually have in my freezers right now available. And those are all natural. I cannot market them certified organic because I do not have a butcher place certified or USDA organic up here in the North Country. And that's a little unfortunate on one hand. I would have to travel the cattle miles and miles, put them under a lot of stress to get butchered, only to get a certified organic sticker on the package. So at this point, I chose to go local, like to Red Barn Meats or to Dry Town and have the animals butchered and sell them USDA inspected that way. But then it's all natural.
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating. I had asked if you were okay talking about this aspect of it because it's kind of getting into the nuances, but I think it's really essential for people to understand that in relation to food systems. So you're raising the animals by certain methods, but then you get to that level of processing. And in terms of the rules and regulations for New York State, we have USDA processors here, but like you said, they don't have their certified organic processing, so you can't label it as such. And so there's really good things to just kind of know about in terms of the consumer, because you're making a conscious choice not to add that added time and stress and money to bring your beef, 300 miles to get to the organic processor, and keeping it local and supporting those other local businesses. But in the process, then you're not able to market it that way then at the retail cut. And I think that's really great information for people to understand.
Exactly, because unfortunately, like I said, there is no butcher or slaughterhouse up here that does USDA inspected organic. So yeah, that's kind of where where it's a little bit in a bind. But
sure.
But people do appreciate the local food, so I think the all natural at this point does work. So
yeah, so as you mentioned, folks could buy things. Well, they could come to the house, they can contact you ahead and come to the farm and buy individual cuts, or they can do quarters or halves. At times they can find it also at Nature's. And you mentioned you have something new in the works. You're working on a website?
That is correct. Yes, I finally got my act together and working on more marketing and getting a website up. It's the Kilian Biohof.com. And in the next couple of 1 or 2 weeks, hopefully that website is up and we can be found then there as well.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you want the public to know about the farm?
I mean, give me a call or contact me over my email. And if you're looking for produce and products, then just give me a shout and we can talk and get together. I can deliver. People can come into the farm either way.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time, Susanne. We loved having you on, and I hope you have a great autumn.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Take
Bye.
care. A great winter, I guess. That was just wishful thinking maybe on my part.
Take
care.
Okay, you too. Bye.
All right. Well, it's time for our next prize giveaway. So where is Lauren? Hello, hello.
Hello.
We ready to do it?
Oh, I'm ready. Ready to pick a winner here. The winner wheel. And let's see, Jim. Congrats, Jim. You won a $25 gift certificate to the Kilian Biohof. So we will connect with you about how to get that, and congratulations.
Awesome, Jim. We'll email you tomorrow. Congratulations. And that means we've got just one left. So remind folks how they can enter for a chance to win, Lauren.
They can enter by clicking the link in the comments and signing up via the form online. And the last prize is a $25 gift certificate to Big Spoon Kitchen.
Awesome. Okay. Well, sounds like I'll see you in a few minutes then. Thanks, Lauren.
See ya.
So we hear the term farm to school, farm to school, farm to school. And you might be wondering, well, what does that mean, or what does it mean right now? And it can mean a whole awful lot of things, whether in this state or around the country or probably around the world. But I think one of the cornerstones, no matter what the program is or who's using the term, is the intention is getting young people excited about foods that are grown in the region that they live, but also getting more of those foods into the schools so that they can enjoy them in their meals. So I want to bring on two guests in this next conversation, one and then the other. And what we're going to talk about is an initiative that we've worked on collaboratively since 2018. to do just that, get more produce into the school trays of kids all across St. Lawrence County and beyond. So to do that, I'm going to welcome in our first guest of the two, Dave Gravlin, School Food Service Manager for St. Louis Louis BOCES. Hey, Dave.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Good, thanks.
So I didn't talk too much about the actual program yet. Just tell us, what is your job at BOCES?
I'm a school lunch manager at St. Lawrence Louis BOCES, and I travel around to all of our component districts, 19 currently, and provide support and assist with, regulation compliance, menu planning, inventory management, whatever is really needed for support, sometimes training new staff, and just being there for whatever I can help with. And also, I'm heavily involved in the Farm to School project that we've started.
Yeah, so back when I was just a little person running around on Maple Ridge Road, I don't think that BOCES operated in this way. I knew it for the vocational programs, but this kind of shared services role, how long has BOCES been doing that in the region?
For our central school food management coaster, I think we've been operating since 2008, 2009. We started with a few schools then, and it just kind of grown significantly since then.
Yeah, so where are you at now in terms of that for food service with BOCES?
Well, we currently
how many schools? Yeah.
We have 19 school districts in St. Lawrence, Lewis, and Jefferson counties.
So I think those 19 school districts, it probably ties then into the next kind of part of the conversation. What was BOCES' original inspiration for thinking about farm to school and putting together kind of a collaborative effort?
Well, we really wanted to find a way to get local food into schools, and what a great avenue to have children and young adults get into the habits of eating our local food here in the North Country, and continuing those habits later in life. It just benefits them, their families, and our entire North Country community. So over the last several decades, last 3 or 4 decades, we've seen a significant decline in the number of staff that we've had in our kitchens, and it's become more and more difficult to scratch cook and be able to take produce right from the dirt and getting it into schools. It just doesn't have the labor force to do so. So we thought we would come up with a minimally processed program that could get them some local produce and it not be too taxing on their staff.
Yeah, so this is kind of bringing in, if folks are hearing that term minimally processed or hearing that fresh cut term, that's sort of working to eliminate some of those initial steps of produce prep then, so that's a little bit more ready-made for your school food service staff. Is that right?
Absolutely.
So I guess then, if it's okay, I'll mention kind of the harvest kitchen piece, and then we'll come back in and talk about the ag and markets piece.
Okay.
So as Dave is mentioning, BOCES was interested in getting more produce grown in the area into schools and was running into that roadblock of not having the labor force necessarily to make that happen and meet that interest. And so BOCES approached us here at the Learning Farm. So we have a shared use commercial kitchen called the Harvest Kitchen, which we use a few different ways. So one of the ways that we use it is, for example, to put on classes. So right now we're teaching online, so it might be pressure canning or fermentate. This is a fun with fermentation class. So we do classes both in person and online. It's a shared use space, so there's also people that rent the kitchen. So actually St. Lawrence University rents the kitchen, and they have their own food preservation class, and they also have another class called Green Cafe. So there's both nonprofit and for-profit entities that rent it for their own needs. So BOCES approached us. I guess I better get Dave back in here because we had that commercial facility and a space that a prep could be done in. And there was this opportunity. Do you want to share more about the Ag and Markets funding and the farm to school kind of idea that came together in 2018?
Yeah, Ag and Markets has consistently offered farm to school grants over the last several years, and we were fortunate enough to go and partner with Cornell Cooperative Extension, and we were able to get awarded 2 of those grants over the last 4 years. The first year we were awarded about $75,000, and then the last one $99,000 and change. And we were able to take that money and kind of start the trial process. And how are we going to make this work? Equip the Harvest Kitchen with some of the things that was going to be needed to make this process fairly efficient. It's still not perfect. We're getting closer and closer each season that we work on this stuff. And the grant has given us a great opportunity to get started, and right now we're considering some other things to make this a more sustainable project and make it last for quite some time.
Yeah, so in that first round, we were able to get some equipment, like Dave mentioned. We installed a walk-in cooler so we could receive larger portions of raw product and then also store the fresh cut stuff until BOCES picked it up. I think this is a great time to bring in the third partner in this collaboration to talk about the actual processing, like who's doing this work here in the Harvest Kitchen. So if folks haven't heard of Big Spoon Kitchen, they're located in Potsdam, so they have their own location, and they do pre-order pickup meals that you might have heard of. They have a weekly menu. And so you can order from their items online, or they at times are doing catering and things like that. And so I'm going to bring them in because they actually joined in as the third-party processor in this collaboration. So let's welcome Lee Vandewater of Big Spoon Kitchen. Hey, Lee.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Lee.
Yeah, so we know about, people might have heard of Big Spoon in relation to the pickup meals and pre-order weekly menu, but tell us about what your inspiration was for throwing your hat in the ring and getting involved with the Fresh Cut program for Farm to School.
Yeah, I have to admit I've come into it a little bit later, so I don't know all the original story, but I know that right now the reason that we're here and that we're excited about it is local food. That's really core to our business model, what we do, and kind of both a practical sense of we buy and process a lot of local food into our menu every week, and in kind of a bigger, philosophical sort of mission sense. That's what we're excited about, what we want to encourage people to do more, buy more local food, get involved with the local food scene. And so this was for us a fairly natural extension of wanting to just see more local food get out to the community. So we buy for our menu, we buy weekly from our local farms, but there's kind of a limit to that right now. There's sort of an upper limit to how much we can buy for that menu and process. And when something like Farm to School came along, it was like, we went from buying a bushel of apples to buying a bin of apples, which, if you don't know, is a lot of bushels of apples. And so for us, it was just a way to kind of do more of what we already like to do. And we love the healthy eating part. We love the fact that it's getting out to kids, but I think probably first and foremost, it's that we're able to buy more from our local farmers and see that getting out to the community.
Yeah, so you mentioned the apples, which I think that's probably what we have as our main product at this point. But let's talk more about the other products that are part of the Fresh Cut line and are making their way into the school lunches.
Yeah, well, it's like all local food, it's a seasonal thing. So different times of year, different stuff's available. We often sort of chafe at that a little bit around here. The growing season doesn't line up super well with the school year. But I think, with a couple years now of trial and error, thanks to Dave and Will and folks who worked on this project previously, we've kind of narrowed it down to a handful of products that seemed to work really well. They were able to consistently source. And so we started out the season this year in August, at the tail end of August, with salsa mix, which is a really fun one where we process and dice local tomatoes, and then have also diced local onions and peppers. And so that was kind of a fun summery, like very fresh summer seasonal product that we were getting out to schools. And then, as the seasons changed, we've phased into carrots. We do carrot coins from local carrots, butternut squash cubed, and ready to use. And then throughout this period, we've been able to keep apples going, and that is one of the beauties of being in a apple state like New York, where before even our most immediate local apple producers had product, we were able to be getting really nice quality apples from farms, just a few hours down the road. And if our local producers start to run out of their stock of apples, we'll be able to reach out again just a little bit further out and find more apples. So there are certainly a lot of great apples. As you see on the screen here, we kind of started out the season working with Joel at Canton Apples. In years past, we've worked with Gary at Parishville Center. We spent a good chunk of the season processing Al Goodwin's Macintosh from Goodwin's Orchard over in Potsdam, and right now we're cruising through Steve Faubert's Crimson Crisp. We just took a transition from his Cortlands into Crimson Crisp, and just talked to him this afternoon. It sounds like he's going to keep us going on apples for quite a few more weeks. So exciting stuff.
Yeah, so we've got Steve's apples are in the walk-in now and will be for several weeks. I have several pictures of the process, but I guess while folks are kind of seeing that, do you want to talk about the schedule? How does it all work? So we're saying generally BOCES orders food. Maybe even Dave, if you want to share a bit about that process for you, how that's happening and what kind of volume are we talking about with the farm to school program?
Yeah, so our school lunch managers and BOCES, they're not purchasing the actual product. Big Spoon is doing a heck of a job finding these items for us and sourcing them and getting them in and delivered to the harvest kitchen. And then they start that process of making it fit for us to use very easily. We're estimated to up until Christmas break here, the holidays, we're going to be right around 19,000 pounds of processed apples. That's the end product pounds. We early on, we only had the salsa mix for about 5 weeks. We had about 1,400 pounds of that. Our carrot coins were 1,300 pounds. Butternut squash diced, we're going to be pushing 2,600 pounds before the holidays. And our coleslaw mix, we're going to be running just under 1,000 pounds. So overall, from September to mid-December, we're looking at 25,000 pounds of processed fruits and vegetables here from the North Country. And we will probably double that in the second half. Of course, we won't have everything because of our season, like was stated before. We'll continue with apples probably right through, and we'll have some carrots and butternut for as long as we can get through the school year.
Yeah, so that's awesome. I'm so glad that you shared those numbers, over 25,000 pounds. And that's actually the finished. The waste is actually goes into the anaerobic digester here on farm, at the learning farm, all the peelings and things like that. But that's a lot of local food and New York State produce going into the 19 participating BOCES schools that are part of the program.
Yeah, and just wanted to throw out too, we mentioned the apple producers, but I did want to make sure we acknowledged some of the other farmers who've been feeding into the program. Daniel Martin, of course, always a great kind of a linchpin in the local food scene, has been helping connect us with folks, but I've also been able to go directly to some small growers in the Amish community. Levi and Anna Zook and Mosey Kime have supplied a lot of carrots and cabbage and butternut squash. So it's really nice. You know, Dave talked at the beginning about the challenges of kind of getting food from the dirt into the school, and we really are grateful to have the opportunity to kind of be on that dirt end of the spectrum. We like having the relationships directly with farmers and getting out there in the field and talking to people and finding good product and getting it to the point where it's usable in these settings. So it's an honor really to be part of.
Yeah, so I did actually, I'm glad that you mentioned the farmers, because I actually wanted to mention one other point. So I think that you mentioned all the orchards, and I guess really at this point, Big Spoon's pretty much purchased apples from just about every orchard that's in St. Lawrence County that's available and selling. But it's really nice that, for example, with Steve Faubert, this is a photo of their U-Pick operation, and for many of them, their first and best case scenario is to get that on-farm traffic and have that U-Pick scenario. But in many of the cases, especially in a good year, their supply lasts beyond that. So it's getting cold and they still have apples. And so for that to then feed into the farm to school program is also an important resource for the farms in that way to extend their season and make use of the apples they still have in a great year. And the same could be said for the other veg products. Dave, we do have a question from Linda. She was curious if we have a list of the schools that are participating.
Oh, yes, I could run down the schools here. So we have Gouverneur, Norwood, Norfolk, Canton, Colton Pierpont, Madrid, Waddington, Hewelton, Lyme, Sackett's Harbor, Watertown, Messina, Harrisville, Potsdam, Hammond, Edwards, Knox, Clifton Fine, Ogdensburg, Lisbon, Morristown, Brazier Falls, and Parishville, Hopkinton.
Nice. Thanks, Dave.
That's our route right now.
Yeah,
yes.
that kind of brings up the distribution point again there, huh?
Yeah, it's been a pretty cool process. It does get me out to all the schools. And Artie Frigo, who is the director of our program, he also helps deliver. We get out there once a week and we see a lot of people. It's a lot of fun. Once the roads get slick, it gets a little challenging. But I just wanted to give a kudos out to our managers for diving into this program. And initially we didn't really know how it would shape, and they've been very helpful in taking on these products, getting them in and using them. It's not always easy to make that connection. And this has really made it significantly easier.
Yeah, certainly. There are so many things to kind of problem solve how to kind of have that product into the schools consistently throughout a year or through a specific product or something like that. And so we have, as Dave mentioned, been able to work through 2 cycles of this pilot, and then now we'll seek additional funding to keep it going and continue to problem solve, because there are, as you mentioned, like we could become more efficient with processing equipment. We can simplify distribution and transportation. So there's always this kind of ongoing food system nuts to crack and puzzles to kind of solve. Is there anything else folks want to mention as we're wrapping up in terms of sharing about your experience with Farm to School or things you'd like the public to know?
Yeah, we just want to continue to grow. Like Flip said, we will continue to seek, opportunities to grow. We're hoping to have a frozen line of product eventually. I mean, we grow a lot of sweet corn in the North Country. If we could, quite easily, get that harvested and processed off the cob and quick chilled and frozen and out to our schools, that will be huge for us. Our schools, kids love corn, and schools do serve a lot of it. So we're kind of looking to the future while we're, getting products out to schools right now. So we're hopeful that we'll even build on what we're doing.
Yeah, totally second that too, and just say that I think a program like this, one of the most exciting things is that kind of long term. Yeah, maybe the specific funding comes and goes or whatever, but we are building relationships kind of on all levels here, both with farmers, who now know, okay, if I've got a surplus of apples, maybe there's a place for that. And even in, a detailed level of like, we like, turns out bigger carrots are easier for us to process, or bigger butternut squash. And so, having those conversations helps us out, because it really is the other piece of this puzzle that we don't have on the Zoom tonight is, are the farmers and their willingness to kind of provide us with good product and to work with us to improve the quality and figure those sorts of things out. So it's cool to have something like this that really does have that long view in mind. This isn't about just this year. This is about long-term development and building those relationships.
Well, that's an excellent point to end on. I appreciate that, Lee. And I appreciate you both taking the time to share about the program. You've both spent a lot of time the problem solving, and it's nice to show the shiny pictures, but there's a lot of ongoing work and thought and care that's been put into it from St. Lawrence Lewis Bosse's and Big Spoon Kitchen. And we were happy to have
Cooperative Extension. You put in that grease trap today, Flip.
I do not have a glossy picture of cleaning the grease trap that I could show people, but yes, there's some exciting things going on over here. But yes, so we really appreciate you taking the time to share, and we're so happy to partner with you both on the Farm to School program.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah,
thanks Dave, so much. Have a great night. Thank you, Lee.
Great, you too.
So before we do the prize, while I have your attention for just a few moments, I want to mention we do have another live stream coming up in 1 month. So it's the third Wednesday of the month, December 15th. If you haven't heard, there's a new business that'll be opening in downtown Potsdam in the former Crush Bistro called Hoof and Horn Butcher and Eatery. And they'll be opening soon. So come and hear from the co-owners about that new business. It's the time of year where you might be stocking up on maple or beef, so you'll hear from Hurlbutts. And then we have one more guest stay tuned on that. So remember to mark your calendars for December 15th. And is there anything else I want to tell you before we get into prize territory? I guess I had forgotten to actually mention it. You should check out our recipe page on the extension site. We have seasonal recipes, and we have contributions actually from Nature's Storehouse. They shared a tasty kale soup recipe, and Susanne at the Kilian Biohof shared a cowboy crockpot chili casserole recipe that's easy and tasty and comes together. So check out the CCE seasonal recipe site, and there's also Big Spoon contributions there from earlier in the season. So without further ado, we better find Lauren so we can figure out who this prize winner is. Hello, hello.
Prize time?
Yeah, let's do it.
The last prize of the evening.
So a $25 gift certificate to Big Spoon Kitchen.
Some yummy menu items. And Kristen M. Looks like you'll be dining at Big Spoon Kitchen soon. Congratulations.
Awesome. Congratulations, Kristen. We will email you details on how to get your gift certificate. So thank you, everybody. It's been another fun program sharing about the foodways of Northern New York and all the people that are passionately working hard to make sure we have a tasty time up here. Even though there's lots of things we can think we don't have, there's still lots of abundance. If you ever want to check out what we're up to in the Ag and Food Systems department here at the Learning Farm, check out the Fruition blog. We've got new posts every week. So everything from homesteading and gardening stories to farmer profiles and pictures when we're heading to a new farm and seeing what they're up to. You can see the cranberry harvest at Deer River on there, which is pretty great. So thank you all so much. I hope you have a lovely evening. See you on December 15th.